Is this the beginning of the end for Komoot? Specialized hops on the foot-shaped cycling train. And why run a 1x when you can run a 4x? Welcome back everybody to the new Hotness, your weekly digest of all things alternative cycling. Still on Instagram, so you don't have to be. If you guys have been enjoying this format, please consider supporting the channel by joining us on Patreon or picking up some merch. All the links below. Let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is this great explainer video from Paul Price of Paul Components. You guys know we are big fans of their components, their brakes, their levers. In this video, he breaks down a very short history of brakes and why we have two types of cable pull. This is a pretty cool illustration of what exactly is the difference between long pull and short pull. So you can see it within the pivot in the brake lever itself, but probably a better illustration is this. This shows, this is a great illustration of how much more cable a long pull brake pulls. You're probably wondering why this came about. Here he talks about the V-brake and how it's the most efficient way to brake, especially on mountain bikes with bigger tires when you're trying to navigate all that clearance. And since the lever arms are so long, you basically have to pull more cable. Anyways, I don't want to completely re-summarize the entire video, but definitely check out the Paul Component YouTube channel. Great explainer. I hope they do more videos since they're such a wealth of knowledge and all that technical information. The next component is the MountainTamer quad. This was sent to me on Instagram. I actually had a friend that had one of these at one point, but I thought it'd be fun to share on the new Hotness. Basically what it is a splined kind of lock ring system that you would bolt onto the internal or inner BCD, and you combine that with specially splined chain rings so you can have really, really low gears. So here you can see it allows from 17 to 34 in that triple position. In this photo here, it's kind of a half step plus granny setup with a really small inner triple. This photo here is a better illustration of what it's actually doing without the chain rings. So you can see you can use the outer BCD to run a double and then use the spline interface to run a triple. I believe the chain rings are unique to the system, and so you can't use just like any cassette off a cog. It's a little bit of a bummer, but a lot of the more interesting chainring options are sold out, like the 17 and the 18 tooth. Going further down, they came with a MountainTamer quad. So here you can see the splines are a little bit thicker than on the regular one, and I believe this is what allows you to put two chain rings on that spline system. Want even more? Using the MountainTamer Plus over the existing triple chainring, you can have 5 chain rings. That is redonkulous. Anyways, I'm a big fan of stuff like this. Here he notes these are gone. There will not be any more. This page remains for historical reference. It's cool. If you want to wax old school or get some truly low gears on your bike, then check out MountainTamer.com. Okay, next up is an automatic hydraulic brake release. Looks like here it's set up on a Molten style space frame bike. This popped up on our Discord. Really short video, but really interesting. So check this out. Guy walks up to his bike. It has hydraulic brakes, flips a couple of switches, and then bam, separates it. Here he is putting it back together just like that. If you go to his channel, there's actually a little bit better close-up of how the mechanism works. Looks like there's some kind of cam, and then that pops out, and that just, yeah. It does look like it needs a fair amount of real estate to plunge one end of the cable fitting into the other. So not super tiny, probably not something you could apply to drop bars, but if you've got a folding bike or something where there's just a little bit more room to mount that hardware, then it would be an interesting fit. It says in the description that he's been developing this and it should be released in April. Pretty cool. So check out the Mikelon YouTube channel. I'm sure he's on the web elsewhere if you're interested in quick release hydraulic disc brakes. All right, next thing is sort of a quiet update from our friends over at Ritchey. You know, Outback frame set, fan channel favorite here. I love in these pictures. It's set up in total ATB dad bike mode. But they have updated the internal routing for a dropper in the 2025. So standout features of this edition for 2025 include internal routing for dropper posts, rack mount on the fork crown. Oh, that's kind of interesting. I wonder if they had to beef up the fork anymore to support a rack. And internal dynamo routing. The new Outback also comes in XXL, so the tall folks can get in on the fun. Let's talk about my second favorite subject after friction shifting is it's shoes. This is a video from about 4 years ago. Please forgive the COVID era haircut, but here I am ranting about why most cycling shoes suck and saying that they should adopt a more foot-shaped profile. You guys would know I am testing the Strong Feet Athletics Leviathan shoe. This channel is cycling in alignment. He's also a big fan of barefoot shoes, and it sounds as if he does fittings for clients, so a little bit more knowledgeable about physiology than I am. But we both agree that foot-shaped shoes just seem to make sense. So there he's holding the white version of the Leviathan, and he talks a bit about the cleats. The shoe is set up so it can run kind of road cleats and SPDs. I have mine set up with SPDs. And in particular, he goes a fair bit into the potential rock if you're running like a 2-bolt system. I haven't experienced that. If you want more of a deep dive into foot-shaped shoes, in particular from cycling, from the perspective of someone that does bike fit for clients, then definitely check out Cycling in Alignment. Interestingly, it looks like Specialized is also getting into the foot-shaped game. Of course, some $600 pair of shoes. So for those of you that thought, the Strong Feet Athletics were too expensive at $300, check this out. And of course, because it's the bike industry, you have to justify things through watts and performance. More comfort, 7 watts to your FTP. They couldn't just left it at it's more comfortable. It's got to somehow make you faster and you're going to end up on the podium. Right, the shoe does seem more foot-shaped compared to their typical racing shoe, but I've got the Strong Feet Athletics here, and I still think that these are definitely still wider, but I guess it's a good step in the right direction. Who would have thunk, shoes that fit the actual shape of people's feet? It is pretty eye-watering at $600. So if you want to get what now seems like a bargain foot-shaped shoe, then check out Strong Feet Athletics. They don't make the 7 watts claims. I'm stoked about this, but again, I feel like why does everything have to be justified for a purely performance perspective? It's the same thing with short cranks. Now that someone won a yellow shirt with short cranks, everyone's jumping on that train. Speaking of shoes and something a little bit more lighthearted, there is this Instagram account, Presta94, that posts lots of vintage mountain bike imagery. And this is from one of those historic, epic mountain bike tours. 1980s Pro Pass tour with a pair of Nike Approach making an appearance. And this is what they rode to do the mountain bike back then. And I would totally rock those, maybe not with as high of a ankle support, maybe less puffy, and of course foot shape because 7 watts. But if you want to take a deep dive into bike nostalgia, in particular mountain biking and touring, then check out this account, Presta94. The next story, you might have noticed that Komoot has changed some of their policies. What used to be free now is only premium. What you used to be able to buy once, you now have to subscribe to. Yes, the enshittification of Komoot has begun. So Ray from the DC Rainmaker channel breaks this story. And it seems March 20th, so a couple days ago, the company has announced that it's been acquired by Bending Spoons, which bills itself as a technology company rather than private equity or other investment apparatus. So this is the official press release from Bending Spoons, and I love that Ray goes the extra step here and asks, who the heck is Bending Spoons? And here he lists a bunch of other companies that Bending Spoons has acquired and what happened subsequently. So Evernote, acquired in January 2023, July 2023, Bending Spoons laid off all Evernote staff. Mosaic Group, acquired in January 2024, immediately laid off all 330 staff members. Same thing with WeTransfer, Meetup, and Brightcove. So if past actions are a reflection of what you might do potentially in the future, not looking good for the folks at Komoot, which is a bit of a bummer. We know some folks that work there, so hopefully you guys are doing well, have found greener pastures if things have come to pass. Maybe it won't happen, but all signs point to, the enshittification of Komoot has begun. I think that really leaves Ride with GPS as the last decent, navigating mapping platform. Next interesting thing was sent to me on Instagram. This is account Raji Surendra. Here he's super stoked on his new bicycle light, and I believe he said it's from 1910, and it's operated by a candle. Check this out. This is like a new thing I want that I didn't even know I wanted. Looks like it has some kind of optic on there that really magnifies the light. You can shut it off, puff of smoke. He looks super stoked on it, and yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I would totally get one of those and build up a steampunk post-apocalyptic bike build with that lamp. This popped up on my Instagram, but I went over to the Bike Felix's YouTube channel to take a look. But what it is basically an electronic shifting system that you can retrofit to cable actuated rear derailleurs. This particular setup is by L2, and it's a retrofit. We've seen something like this from a US brand, which is no longer with us, unfortunately, and that is Archer. I don't know if you guys remember them, but they started with something very similar to this. It would instead attach to the chainstay instead of the seat stay. It's a good concept, but he could never really scale it up and get it to a low price because he was trying to manufacture a lot of stuff in the States. Like L2 has taken the idea and run with it. Of course, Asia can manufacture things in some ways much better, but definitely much cheaper than what we can do in the US. So if you want to see this iteration of it from L2, then definitely check out the Bike Felix YouTube channel. Here he is adjusting the number of speeds and adjusting the cable pull between the gears. So stuff like this I'm actually kind of into. It'd be fun to get a pair of these and do like a full electronic shifting like Rivendell. I know Grant's crying right now. At the moment, it looks like the controller is only for mountain bikes, that they don't have a drop bar bike version. But yeah, if you want to see the results, then check out the Bike Felix YouTube channel. The next one is Aprico Bikes. A couple weeks ago, I posted an interesting fork modification from Stolen Bikes, and Aprico Bikes is actually the designer of it. I believe he was also at the Mini Bike Fest in Berlin. Here you can get a closer look at it. It looks as if the platform can fold as well, so when you're taking your bike on transit, it makes it that much easier. Here you can see it in action. This is a purple version because, of course, purple. I also love that there's a built-in U-lock holder. I do think, cargo bike manufacturers, if you're doing like a front-loading thing, you have to keep the U-lock in mind. Here it is folded up, waiting for the train. And I think he did a crowdfunding campaign for this a while ago. I swear I thought I saw it. Anyways, maybe an idea a little bit ahead of its time, but now the time is ripe. I'm seeing a lot of stuff like this. There's the Crest Clydesdale. There's that company based in Bentonville, Arkansas, that's modifying old mountain bikes to be front loaders. There's the Melara bike, the Monopole. Check out this bike from Omnium. They're calling it the Nano, and it's basically the smallest version of their cargo bike, but with two 20-inch wheels. So the in-production version had I believe it's like a 26 or 27.5 and small 20 in the front, but this one is 20 front and rear. I think it's super interesting. Again, a couple months ago, I said small bikes, small cargo bikes, micro cargo bikes are going to be a thing, and it may actually come to pass. And speaking of cool cargo bikes, you should check out Bike Pack Kid. This is a bag maker based in Spain, and he did this really cool collab bike with Madrid frame builder Pablo from B-Block. And you can see where it's taken its inspiration, definitely from the 90s. Here it is, unboxing. I think he had the bike built, that's Pablo, by the way. He had the bike built specifically to carry his dog. And yeah, it's fun to see bikes that aren't like super serious, and this is definitely not a super serious bike. But I love it, all the teal and purple. Man, that looks good. I gotta reach out to Pablo and see if we can collab on a wacky bike. And here's Bike Pack Kid. He's been working for months for some custom bags for Cannondale. If you want to know more about his bags and the trips he's done, Bike Pack Kid also has a YouTube channel. It is in Spanish. I like to watch it because it's good practice for me, but you can also throw on subtitles if you don't speak Spanish and want to understand what's going on. All right, let's get to the signal boost section of the new Hotness. You guys should definitely follow Dutton Art. He's on different socials, but he's a fellow artist slash painter, probably a more serious artist than myself. He does it professionally, but he put on this really cool event recently, a collaboration with him, Brooks, and LA, where it's basically a art sketching ride. So kind of combining urban sketching with bicycling, which I think is a win-win combination. Looks like he had a super great turnout. This is the stuff I really miss living here in Spain. There's more like just bike weirdo-ness and alternative cycling going on in the States. Here you can see them set up. He's got a little pochade box doing some watercolor or gouache, I believe. But overall, a really cool collab and vibe. Oh, interesting. It looks like Brooks England provided some watercolor kits. That's pretty fancy. Also, Mike also has a YouTube channel called Pedal and Paint. So if you just want some like cycling and art making ASMR, then definitely check him out. They're really nicely shot, way more patience than I to film this kind of stuff these days. But in this series, he just goes to, you know, just like really chill locations and make some art. I think we were supposed to try to get together when we were both in Vegas a couple years ago, but never came to pass. But hopefully one day, Mike, if you come out to Spain, we'll do a pedal and paint here. The final signal boost is you should definitely follow Eat, Sleep, Cycle. They're a bike shop here in Girona. Full disclosure, I've been working with them to help develop their YouTube channel. So a little bit of a vested interest here. But the owners, Lee and Louise, are super great folks. They've been running Eat, Sleep, Cycle in Girona for the past 8 years. And we're working together to really plant their flag as the kind of go-to source, the authority of bike touring, bike travel, bike vacations here on the Iberian Peninsula and beyond. So right now we're making a bunch of videos about Girona, extracting like all those years of experience and knowledge from Louise's head and getting it out to the open, because truly they are like a wealth of knowledge. Part of this came about because, you know, you've seen lots of those videos of different people, you know, moving to Girona and talking about it on the surface level, but there's a lot of things that they missed out. People that live here a lot longer know about things like the Tramontana winds. All that to say, if you're interested in coming to Girona to ride a bike, or just Spain in general, they do self-guided tours and all this stuff, then definitely give Eat, Sleep, Cycle a follow. And if you come to town, give them a visit. You know, Lee and Louise, some of the nicest people we've met here so far. Okay, so OBS is telling me I have filmed 36 minutes. Now I have to go and edit this. If you guys enjoy the new Hotness, this deep dive into the weird and wonderful side of bikes that you won't see on Bike Radar or GCN, definitely subscribe if you haven't already, or take that next step. You know, join us on Patreon. It keeps the lights on. It makes this financially possible. Pick up some stickers and merch, and as always, keep the supple side down.